from the News Channel 5 Network. This is Score on Business.
Hey, welcome to Score on Business. I'm Pete Hendricks, a serial entrepreneur and your host for today. Many prospective entrepreneurs aren't sure where to start. We'll start providing a tip on each show. Also, SCORE offers low-cost classes and no-charge counseling specifically to guide folks through thinking about starting and succeeding in business. More information is available at scorenashville.org. Make sure to click on the Workshops tab at the top of the page. They are usually a half day, held mainly on weekends, and cost $25. Your tip for this show: work to view your business through your customer's eyes rather than your own. This sounds easy, yet it's hard and it's really important. Okay, Blaine Weiss is with us. So Blaine Weiss is the founder and president of the Provincial Development Group, a professional services firm he launched in 2004. They work with small to mid-sized businesses that have flat or declining revenue to help them achieve their growth objectives. They also assist with transition and exit planning. Additionally, Blaine is the founder and host of the Nashville Leadership Luncheon, held each spring and fall at the Bridgestone Arena. And Blaine, thanks for being here.
Thanks, Pete. I enjoy our conversations.
I do too. I do too. So in order for companies to succeed, they have to differentiate themselves. Tell us how companies can do that.
Well, this is a really important topic for companies, and it's one of the things that oftentimes young entrepreneurs or someone who's newer to that role really undervalue or underappreciate. Mm-hmm. The first thing that I would say is people can gravitate to different for the sake of being different rather than different for the sake of offering value. And what I mean by that is different for the sake of being different is superficial. People see through it quickly and it doesn't offer an appeal. But being different for the sake of adding value, meaning if you're in the HVAC business and the average response time in Nashville is 4 hours when your air conditioner's out, and you can figure out a way to scale and get your average response time to 2.5 hours, that's an hour and a half of value when it's 100 degrees out with high humidity in July that people can appreciate. So that kind of qualified differentiation translates to value for your customer base and gives you a real credible talk track or real credible communication track to reach out to the market and to attract new customers.
Yeah. And most companies are going to be they're going to be good in one thing. There's naturally something that will differentiate. Like for me and my company, the mid-market is where I can really make a difference. I'd love to have the enterprise customers, and I do get some sometimes, but where I can really add values in the mid-market, and that's really kind of what you're saying.
That is exactly what I'm saying, because what you're touching on there is tremendously important in the sense that you understand where your fit, your skills, your company at this stage in its life cycle really makes the biggest impact. And it is very common to have folks want enterprise customers until they get them.
Yeah.
And then they realize, wow, this is far more bureaucratic than I expected. Well, this is far more complicated. Wow, I'm actually making less money than I used to because I didn't know what I didn't know until I got there.
And it's getting paid in 90 days.
Yes. Yeah. So there's a lot of complications to that. The other thing I'd say about this topic, Pete, that I think is important is that we overcomplicate our communication too often. The easiest way to differentiate yourself is to really simplify your message and make it understandable. If you can tell an 8th or a 9th grader what you do, why you do it, and what the impact is of that, that's a great barometer for how simple your message is.
I like that. Okay, let's see here. One of the things you focus on with clients is building an ecosystem that enables transformation. And kind of setting up that question, you're working with companies primarily whose revenue has flattened or is declining. And so something's got to change.
Yes.
So having said that, you look to build an ecosystem that enables transformation. Tell us about that.
Sure. So ecosystem in some senses is another word for culture, and what I mean by this is I'll give you an example with a company that's been a friend of our firm, a company that's well known here in Nashville named Emma. So Clint Smith is the founder of Emma, and he does a fantastic job. But the reason that he's done a fantastic job in terms of the impact is he's built a great company from the inside out. People that work there do a great job. They have high engagement. They enjoy their work. They're pleasant. They're consistent. All of that reflects a lot of things that Clint and his leadership team have done well. It's not just one thing. For instance, it's not that they're just great at tech. Because you can be just great at tech, but horrible with people, horrible with growth, horrible with financials, and some other areas. So, one of the reasons that this concept is so important is it takes a village of ideas or a village of expertise in order to build a solid foundation for a company. You can't just rely on one thing. You can't just rely on your strength or the strength of the owner in order to have sustainable success.
You know, one thing that I try to do, and I think everybody should try to do, I know what I do well. And I know what I don't do well, and I'm proud of not doing some things well because I'm a human and whatnot. So that I really agree with what you're saying, and to kind of recognize the strength, but also get someone else to that can help out in other areas.
Yeah, and that, you know, there's a degree of humility to that, because if you have to be the smartest person in the room all the time, or you have to be the outspoken expert on every subject that comes out, your ego is going to create, you know, so much havoc or take up so much room that you're going to repel talent that could really be a helpful resource to you.
Right.
And humble leaders are leaders that are confident and know what they do well, just like you were talking about a moment ago, but also recognize what they don't do well or what they don't enjoy. And the one thing I love to talk about the leaders, the CEOs that I work with is this. In your strength zone, you're the only one that can do that. There's no plan B. And so every moment that you spend outside of your strength zone is a moment that your company, your customers, your family is not benefiting from you doing your best work. And it brings a level of focus and a level of clarity and a level of permission to really stay in that zone.
You know, you sharing that also made me think about the business book that, I don't know, 10 or 15 years ago was so successful, which is Good to Great. And there have been some very, very big name companies where this larger than life leader didn't build an ecosystem around him to succeed, and the company failed. And some of these were Fortune 500.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's a very true observation. One of the things that I tell my clients about my work is, I know you're gonna. I mean, I'm confident going in. If we're a good fit, I'm gonna have a good impact. But the real impact is, how's your company better a year after I'm gone? Because our model is interim, it's not permanent. How's your company better off a year after I'm gone? Because a year after I'm gone is the true measure of the level of service or the level of impact that I was able to have. And I start day one with that expectation, because that's the most integrous, or that's the most sincere way that we can measure health. Because if it's too dependent on me, I've done you a disservice, not a service.
There's tremendous integrity in that. I'm impressed with, because there are many companies that kind of look to, you know, get in where you can't get rid of them, and there's some things where a long-term relationship is needed. But with what you're doing, you want to teach them how to do it themselves.
That's right. That's right. I mean, it's much like a doctor. If you go to the doctor and you only feel good for 24 hours after going to the doctor, well, what have you created? You've created dependency, because every 24 hours I need to go back and get fixed, right? So,
hey, we're going to soon be out of time. I want to make sure and talk about the Nashville luncheon, the leadership luncheon.
Yeah, I'd love to. Thank you. So our next event is going to be Monday, November 21st at the Bridgestone Arena. Is at the time of this taping, we can't announce publicly our keynote speaker, but I can say that this man is a game changer, and a man of great stature, both both in our country and also known outside of America. So we're really excited about what we think is going to come together,
Yeah.
and looking forward to folks coming.
Well, and one thing I'll say about the Leadership Luncheon, it is one of the best networking events. We've been talking about entrepreneurs growing their business.
Yes.
For entrepreneurs that are business to business and business to business sales, that is the place to go. There are always a lot of movers and shakers. So, hey, thank you for being here. And ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back in just a moment.